Good afternoon. My name is Emil Fernandez, and I'm here to propose a study which will hopefully help ease one of the biggest problems we have today, and that problem is the ever-changing price of gasoline. It might seem like a joke when gasoline is between $2 and $3, but it wasn't that long ago when gasoline was around $4, and that was pretty intense, pretty scary. I believe the biggest problem with the price of gasoline is the way in which we extract it or get it out of the ground. Um, we we are using pretty old and outdated techniques, but they're the only ones we have, so we have to make them more efficient and more cost effective. The most common way in which way it's done is by using displacement. We displace the oil or other biofuels in underground reservoirs with ocean water, which helps us extract more of the biofuel. If we don't use those kinds of techniques, then we're leaving behind about two-thirds of the oil inside of the oil reservoirs. And I believe that's where the biggest problem that we have comes from. Um, right now, one of the more common ways in which we displace the oil is through the use of displacement, like I said before, but with ocean water and by adding hydrochloric acid to the ocean water, which helps release the oil from the walls of the reservoirs. The hydrochloric acid reacts with the limestone and sandstone in the oil reservoirs, helping let it go and get out of the porous rocks. Um, I noticed that we're using ocean water to help displace it, and I believe that we can use the chloride ions in the ocean water to produce our own hydrochloric acid through the use of electrolysis. If we electrolyze the water, if we electrolyze the water, we'll be able to release hydrogen and oxygen molecules from each other, which will then react with the chloride ions and form hydrochloric acid, which will allow us to not have to buy additional hydrochloric acid to use in the extraction of the oil. Although I wasn't able to find studies that directly related to the study of the oil through electrolysis of water to make hydrochloric acid, I was able to find studies which studied the composition of what the oil and biofuel is made up of, which is old fossilized wood. And those studies I would plan to use to analyze and then compare to the data collected from my proposed study. The way in which I propose this study to be would be to take multiple reservoir core samples and then split them up into 4 different groups. Group 1 being the control group, into which nothing is going to be added. Group 2, which would be the water group. Group 3, which would be water plus hydrochloric acid. Group 4 would be water plus hydrochloric acid, which is produced through electrolysis of the ocean water. Each one of the 4 groups would be placed into tubs where we would take samples of it and measure how much biofuel is being released from each one of the core samples. The samples will be taken every 6 hours for 5 days to help build more consistent graphs and different charts for us. Each of the samples that is collected would then be analyzed. Once the samples have been analyzed, I would then compare it to each of the other samples and determine which would be the most cost-effective way to extract the oil from the oil reservoirs, whether it be by simply buying hydrochloric acid and adding it to the ocean water, or if it's more efficient to electrolyze the water and then produce our own hydrochloric acid. If you have any questions, please email me, and I will be more than glad to respond to you. Thank you.